Hey everybody, today I'm going to give you 5 very important lessons that will help you and help me be a whole lot more careful with what we say. Because often we get ourselves in trouble with the words that come out of our mouth. And we are saying things that later that we regret, or we have to go back to somebody and apologize for words that we said. And so I want to use these 5 lessons to help us all grow in this area. And these are lessons that we can all use, because the reality is the tongue is powerful and it can be used to praise God or encourage people, but it can also be used to tear people down. James had it right when he said, "The tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person, sets the whole course of his life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell." So we need to be careful with what we say. So here's how you and I can get better every day with what we say. Here's your first lesson. If you wouldn't write it and sign it, don't say it. If you wouldn't write it and sign it, don't say it. Imagine for a minute that you're about to say something over lunch with a friend. If you're not willing to put that on a piece of paper and hand it to them and let them share that around and make copies of it and pass it on to people, then don't say it. If you're about to say something and you find yourself wanting to say these words, don't ever tell anybody "I said this, but," or "if you say I said this, I'll deny it, but," you're probably going to say something that you shouldn't say. So stop yourself at that point. If you wouldn't write it and you wouldn't sign it, don't say it. That brings me to my next point. Be careful what you put on social media. Sometimes people are so flippant behind the keyboard. They're keyboard warriors, and they post things that they later regret. And even if you go back later and edit that or take it down, somebody may have screenshotted it. It can keep you from getting a job. It can separate close friends. It can hurt family members. There's no point in posting things on social media that are inflammatory or going to cause issues with other people. It just is not necessary, and it doesn't need to be done. Third, here's the one I really like. It's called "Assume They're in the Room." This teaching is real simple, and it basically goes like this. If somebody comes to you and they begin talking and it sounds like they're going to begin speaking gossip, then I suggest that you look at that person and you could say, "You know what? I am going to assume that person's in the room here and only say something that I would say if they were sitting right here." And if you make that statement out loud, it will stop that other person in their tracks almost immediately, because they will realize you're not willing to gossip about that person, and you will definitely not have anything that you say that you regret. The next one is something that I really need to learn, and that is you do not need to share your opinion about everything. I do have an opinion about everything. I have an opinion about every single thing, but I don't need to share it all the time. I don't need to share every opinion that I have, because often when we share our opinions are cutting, our opinions are judgmental, our opinions are joking about somebody in a way that maybe they wouldn't understand or wouldn't make them feel good. And so we need to be careful not to share our opinion about everything. It's been a common joke with me and Aaron over the years. I've said, like watching America's Got Talent, somebody came out, to perform, and I would say, "Oh, I wish they had called me before they wore that." That's my nice way of saying they don't look good in that outfit. But I don't even need to say that, because even that is cutting and kind of rude. And then the final one is, before you say something cutting or rude, pause for 10 seconds. It's amazing if you will just stop yourself and don't, put a guard over your mouth and don't let those words come out. It's amazing if you will just pause 10 seconds, how much you won't say. You can't get in trouble for words you don't say. And if you'll just think about that and say, "Man, is this cutting? Is this rude? Is this nice? Does this need to be said? Am I cutting that person down or knocking that person down to make myself feel better?" Then you probably won't say what you're about to say. So there's 5 very important tips. If you wouldn't write it and sign it, don't say it. Be careful with what you post on social media. Assume they're in the room, and make sure you say that before you begin speaking with someone, and it'll cut down all the gossip. Remember, you don't have to share your opinion about everything. And before you say something cutting or rude, pause 10 seconds. Here's one more thought, and I'll leave it with this. Imagine if everything you said in the course of a day was recorded and everybody got to hear it on YouTube tonight at 8 o'clock. So, whatever you said to your spouse, to your kids, to your boss, to your coworkers, to your friend, with that person behind closed doors and you didn't think anybody else is listening, to the air in the car as you're driving down the road, as you shout at that other person that you think is a terrible driver, to the server at the restaurant, to the clerk. Imagine all of those things were recorded and you were mic'd up through the course of the day and it was played on YouTube that night. Don't you think that would change how you speak? Absolutely, it would. It does me every time I think about it. You know, those NFL football players that are mic'd up, they probably don't say everything that they would say when they're not mic'd up. And that is very, very important. Paul told Timothy to set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, and faith, and in purity. He started with speech. Why? I think because we can get ourselves in a lot of trouble there. Keep following Jesus. Keep walking with Jesus. Keep talking about Jesus. I'll do the same thing. Hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next week.